Hi folks, welcome back. Um, Another update on the stories, the story of Bret Gordon and Stephen Hatfield and their false claims out there. Okay, so I'm going to do a real brief explanation, then read the damning letter. Then, those of you that know the situation can bail at that point because I'm going to explain things, the background a bit more at that point. So first of all, before I get to the letter, Stephen Hatfield trained, or supposedly trained, Bret Gordon in an art that Hatfield claims, he learned from a guy named Yutashi Hasaka, who created an art called Yoshinkan Aikijutsu, or Aikijutsu, which was, according to them, related to Daito-Ryu Aikijutsu. That is a very respected art in Japan. If you go back to my previous video on this channel, the rundown of the Renshinkan conversation, it's a group chat where basically Hatfield did everything wrong. Um, he got in the organization claiming he wanted to learn Daito-Ryu as a beginner. He went out, he made a video with him wearing a dark blue belt, not a black belt. You can't say that he had a black belt on. And from what I understand, he basically was saying, oh, the Renshinkan, which is Daito-Ryu, do it this way. This is the same way that we do it. So obviously our claims of Daito-Ryu, have some legitimacy or something like that. Again, Yutashi Hasaka is not a Japanese name. There's no records that anyone's been able to say. They told the guy, the Japanese head of the Renshinkan, that Hatfield would not prove his claims about it, even though that claim was how he got into the organization. Big mistake. So there's this letter that came out March 19th, which seemed to be about the same time that Bret Gordon's book came out. I'll get back to that. But he put this out. At the head it says, again, this is by Donald Quintana. I hope I'm correct, pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. Here's what it goes. The header states, the illegitimate claims of Bret Gordon regarding a connection to Daito-Ryu Aikijutsu Kodokai in the USA or Japan. Yeah, start out, second word. The illegitimate claims. Okay. Oh, by the way, Donald Quintana, technically speaking, he's a Jun Dairi Kyoju Godan and the Secretary of General Affairs for this Daito-Ryu Aikijutsu Kodokai. So, again, that's a fairly high, very responsible position. Here's a letter. March 19th, 2025. To whom it may concern, I would like to clarify that there is no connection between Bret Gordon and the Daito-Ryu Aikijutsu Kodokai organization, either in the USA or Japan. Any claims he makes regarding such a connection are entirely false. Incidentally, I'm going to be using this as a thumbnail, and I'll put it at the end so you can pause the video, read it for yourself if you don't believe me. Continuing on with the letter. The Daito-Ryu Aikijutsu Kodokai organization maintains strict and accurate records of its members. There has never been an individual named Hasaka Yutashi. Yutashi Hasaka is, one way of pronouncing, doing it. The Japanese and the English version are different. So there has never been an individual named Hasaka Yutashi associated with the Kodokai, either in the USA or Japan. As a result, there is no factual basis for Gordon's claim that his organization is derived from or connected to the Kodokai in any way. This is consistent with other unfounded claims he has made, including those related to Yoshinkan Aikido. Furthermore, Gordon should explicitly state that his organization has no historical ties, lineage, or affiliation with the Daito-Ryu Aikijutsu Kodokai. Additionally, the individual depicted in the photograph included in his book has never held any rank or title within the Kodokai, either in the USA or Japan. I hope this clarification is helpful. Please feel free to reach out if further information is needed. Best regards, name, things like that, his email address, and even his phone number. So I'm just going to point this out. Okay, so Bret Gordon and Stephen Hatfield, lots of problems with their stories. Aside from the fact that Yutashi Hasaka or Hasaka Yutashi, depending on which format you use, there's no proof that he existed. It's not even a Japanese name. Okay, this is how I got involved with it. You know, they were claiming that they were involved, you know, that they were associated with the Kodokan, which is a very prestigious organization in Japan, founded by the guy that created judo. It turns out, you know, it was basically a gym membership. They could use the building. That's it. They were not trained. You know, they've got the name Kodokan in some of the organizations. They've, you know, a shell organization, I guess you call them, set up, claiming to teach Kodokan judo, which is BS. Again, this person, Hasaka Yutashi, does not seem to exist. This is not the only claim that, you know, just doesn't, you know, they will not back up or just contradicts known facts. One person that they claimed Hatfield learned from, at the time he was supposed to be learning this from, the guy, the teacher, was actually in prison or on probation in California, while Hatfield was 3 time zones away in Ohio. And even when this guy was on probation, he couldn't leave the state. And they're trying to say, well, he's not legally allowed to leave the state, but, you know, that doesn't mean he didn't. And for this Hasaka Yutashi case, they're saying they're seeming to be saying that there's an international Illuminati-backed ninja squad that will kill the family if they give his real name. And it's not a real Japanese name because it's something that he made up to protect his family from something they will not present. Anyways, as you can imagine, serious martial arts are looking at them. I mean, it's not just the fact that to someone with my experience, they are rather mediocre martial artists. You know, again, they made a big, you know, noise about, you know, if you don't think that we're legit, come see us. A guy named Dale Dugas actually did that. Bret Gordon ran immediately to the police. Then there's, you know, the whole thing that I detailed in the last video a little bit about, you know, threatening children. And not only that, but, you know, they basically had and promoted and protected, concealed the crimes of a man convicted of sexual assault on a victim under the age of 12. They actually blamed the victim for what happened. Yeah, all these other things. I mean, just go into it like, you know. But the thing is that I want to kind of point out, Japanese organizations normally do not do this type of thing. You know, there's a lot of people I know that are making claims of studying arts in Japanese, you know, in Japan, and the Japanese know about them, but, you know, it's unseemly to say anything. But there's something, you know, about this that caused this representative to make this public statement and say, you know, send it all out to people. And I think it's 2 things. First of all, in the last few days, Bret Gordon has come out with a book, and he mentions a book here. So I think they kind of like, you know, if you're going to put it in print, we're going to send this out and say, nah, it's not true. Secondly, as you know, that Renshinkan organization, as, you know, if you watch it, you know, basically Stephen Hatfield said he wanted to learn Daito-ryu, wanted to join as a student. Not too long after, you know, he made a video talking about the Renshinkan, as if, you know, from what I understand, it's kind of like he was saying that the stuff that they do is so close to what he does, showing that, you know, he actually did learn something close to Daito-ryu, you know, from this person, which he's now seemed to be saying his grandfather. And after that, I made that video. Someone contacted me and said, hey, you know, I saw your video. Hatfield approached us, said he wanted to join as a student. What do you think? And I basically said, well, do you want to end up the same thing with the Renshinkan, with this guy, you know, claiming that he wants to learn, but then you're going to find out maybe that he's going to learn a video? Trust your gut. And I think the guy just basically that it wasn't worth the trouble, you know. So I think that this letter is basically going to go out to other organizations that, you know, with ties to Japan that teach Daito-ryu. And, you know, if Bret Gordon or Stephen Hatfield come to them and say, yeah, well, you know, look at this book. We, you know, this is how, you know, this guy, you know, that taught Hatfield, you know, it was, you know, part of the Kodokai in Japan, you know, so we want to get back to our roots, you know, this will counter that claim. They do got a book now, you know, Bret Gordon now has a book seeming to claim that Kodokai and this mysterious, unproven person with a Japanese sounding but not Japanese name was part of it. and they might use this to get into organizations. This letter going out basically says, no, there's no relationship. We don't have any records of him, to kind of settle it. If you have any questions or comments or another story about Bret Gordon, put in the comments. Feel free to hit like and subscribe. Kind of helps get the news out there so Bret Gordon can't get away with these types of things. And feel free to share. And I'd like to close with just saying, okay, so a lot of things, Bret Gordon and Stephen Hatfield have made claims and then refused to prove those claims in public. If you claim that you were a licensed psychotherapist, and that's on your website, you would think that someone would, that says, I want to see the, your certificate, I want to see the proof that you're actually a psychotherapist. It would be unthinkable for someone at that point to say, no, you don't have the right to get that proof. That's what they do. And they've always been going along the lines of, you can't prove that what we're saying is untrue. How do you know there never was a person named Mutashi Hasaka? I've been saying, like you say it in public, you prove it in public. And with this smackdown, evidently Bret Gordon put something down in a book claiming something, and it was actively, publicly contradicted by someone in a position to know. Thus, he is a liar. Now if he and Hatfield have to prove everything they claim. If they say that there's a guy named Mutashi Hasaka, if they don't want to prove it after this smackdown, then they are liars. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They've talked about, oh yes, we brought a lawsuit, and basically they convinced the other guy not to show up, and they showed up from the sound of things. But they've never tried to take me to court. Again, they wouldn't dare, because I know how to do this, and I've got at least 3 people practicing law that will help me pro bono. That means for free, even if I defend myself, because this is pretty much everything I say I can back up. So they don't dare do it. And again, Bret Gordon made a big noise, but when he was challenged, he ran away. They're just clowns, okay? But this is pretty damning. Japanese people don't do this unless there's a real need. And yeah, so Bret Gordon evidently put out a book that was mentioned in the letter making false claims, period, end of things. He's a liar. He's a fraud. And, well, that's the way it is. So again, subscribe if you want, like if you want, make a comment if you want. I will be bringing more interesting stories to you sometime in the future. Good day.